The North Shore Football Show on MSONewsSports.com.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our North Shore High School Football Show. I'm Bill Newell along with Rick Moore. And Rick, let's begin. We've got some Thursday night football action coming up this week, including the Beverly at Marblehead game. Now, on paper, this looks like a great game. Beverly's coming off their first win. Marblehead's off to a strong start. They had some injuries earlier. But that game is Thursday night over in Marblehead and a broadcast game here on MSO. Yeah,
that'll be a radio game, and always tough. We saw Beverly at Marblehead last year. That was a tough one. Tough to play, over there in Marblehead. But as you say, Beverly putting it together. What, 50-something points the other night?
Yeah.
So they got the offense going, and Marblehead just good offensively and defensively. And I don't know what to expect, Bill. I mean, I thought at the beginning of the season, probably both these schools were going at 3-0, but Beverly 1-2, Marblehead 3-0. I don't know, this one could be really, really important for down the stretch.
We have a couple of other Thursday night games of interest. Two 3-0 teams meeting over in Salem. That's Swampscott at Salem. What a great start Swampscott has had this year, as well as Salem High School. And our other broadcast game as we look ahead to Friday night. Well, let's go to Friday night, as a matter of fact. Go to our video game, which is a huge one because it's a league game, if you will. Lynn Classical playing up at Gloucester. Both those teams undefeated in the league, and both teams undefeated.
Well, you've seen both, and I've seen Gloucester. We saw Gloucester last week, and one thing Gloucester has been doing this year is they've been playing the full. I'm trying to figure out 44 minutes. They play the full 44 minutes, and they play particularly well in the second half. They make some mistakes in the first half, play very, very well in the second half, and over the years, it's been a tradition that Gloucester and Classical have great games that go right down to the wire.
Well, one of the things I noticed about Gloucester is they have a very good defense, and they're not getting any worse at that. So Classical, I think last week they struggled offensively, but that was that kind of a miserable, very windy, misty night for the Rams. But clearly the Rams are off to a good start at 3-0. But I think they're really going to have to gear that off. They're going to need to take it to another level to compete in Gloucester on Friday.
And Gloucester almost had 3 100-yard rushes last week. Pena Ortiz, Argentino each had over 100 yards rushing, and quarterback Matt Smith, who was tremendous, he's our player of the week for the week, he had 2 rushing touchdowns, but he had 70 yards on 6 carries. So once again, they got that 3-headed monster on offense.
So I mentioned about the Classical offense struggling a bit, but one thing that really hasn't struggled with them this year is their defense. So they've been very tough defensively as well. Mm-hmm. So that'll be something to watch as well on Friday night.
Right, and depending on traffic, if Classical gets there on time, could be a lot of fun.
Okay. Well, we're going into the Cape Ann League on Friday night as well. Manchester Essex going up to Ipswich. That'll be a radio game on MSO. And we'll see Ipswich trying to rebound, but should be an interesting game Friday night.
I think it's exciting, and I'm glad we're doing that. I've talked to Jeff Hutton over at Manchester Essex. We talked with Coach Facette, and both of these schools, though they have small numbers, these kids play football. They're great athletes, and both teams are very psyched up. So that should be a fun game as well, and it's nice dipping into the Cape Ann League.
Speaking of the Cape Ann League, just in closing, there's a couple of games here that kind of stand out to me. Pentucket at Masconomet. Pentucket is just consistently good under Coach Steve Hayden. We'll see how good they are when they play at Masconomet, a team that's been rolling a little bit the last 2 weeks. And then you got Triton and North Reading. Now, both of these teams are coming off, well, Triton's coming off a win last week, but they lost to Swampscott 2 weeks ago. I think that's a very pivotal game there, Triton playing at North Reading on Friday night.
And we'll have all this stuff and more in Scoreboard over the weekend. And following this stuff next Monday night, we'll talk about it as well.
Oh, one more thing. Our player of the week this past week was Matt Smith at Gloucester High School. Now, a couple of weeks ago, he almost could have been our player of the week a couple of weeks ago for his fine performance against Beverly High School, in which I thought he had an incredible fourth quarter with a couple of key runs, a third down, first down run, and then a big first down run, to seal the victory for Gloucester late in that contest against Beverly. But he did earn the big award this past week in the Gloucester win.
Absolutely. Coach Paul Ingram was up in the booth with us, of course, and he was mentioning that he's smart on the football field. He makes excellent decisions. Made some tremendous plays on offense, as I said, 6 carries, 70 yards, scoring 2 touchdowns and a huge 2-point conversion. But also, Bill, he was just tremendous on defense, and one of the coaches was saying he's the hardest hitter they have on defense.
All right, well, that's it. We've got a lot of games coming up. Stay with us. We'll check out some other teams just ahead here on our North Shore High School Football Show.
Hi folks, this is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber. Our company has been proud to have supported high school sports on the North Shore for more than 30 years. Our student-athlete program recognizes championship performance in the classroom and on the field. Moynihan Lumber is also committed to championship performance when it comes to meeting all your building and home improvement needs. And if you're planning to change your kitchen, please visit our kitchen cabinet showrooms at any of our 3 locations: in Beverly, North Reading, or Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
People come in, take a seat, you're really in for a treat at Sylvan Street. A great place to eat and drink and meet with family and friends at Sylvan Street. We treat you right, day or night, satisfy your appetite. Eat, drink and chill at the Sylvan Street Grill.
Catch a game with friends, meet for lunch, cocktails after work, or a romantic dinner for 2. Whatever your plan to do it at Sylvan Street Grill in Peabody and Salisbury. See you at Sylvan Street.
Eat, drink and chill at the Sylvan Street Grill.
Stronger, faster, tougher. When you need the MVP of community banks, look no further than the Institution for Savings. With 14 full-service offices throughout the North Shore, we have MVP rates and an all-star team to serve you. Bank from the ball field with our 24/7 online application apps, internet banking, mobile deposit, and more. Institution for Savings, your winning team. Visit institutionforsavings.com, member FDIC, DIF, equal housing lender.
Lynn, Classical football coming off an overtime win over Revere last week. And guys, tell me a little bit about the game. I know defensively you guys have been steady from the start of the season. And Maurice, you had a good defensive game last week.
Yes, I did.
Tell me about it.
We've been working really hard on defense. We've been going over there, running scheme. We've been practicing hard, and we've been preparing for them. And it ended up being a good day for defense.
Yeah. Dennis, how about yourself? You had an interception, right?
Yeah.
We have to give a lot of credit to the D-line coach and all the coaches. They coached us up all week for this. We were ready for it. We were prepared. We knew what we were doing out there.
Yeah. Revere definitely, they played their best game of the year. They said that.
Yeah.
Took you guys to overtime. Tell me about the defense. Where, that was your third game. How is that compared to your other games defensively?
They held us back a lot on offense. They had a lot of good counters for what we're doing. But defense, we stepped up big time. We made a lot of big plays. Defense won us that game, I'd say.
Yeah. Maurice, what do you think about the defense from game 1, 2, and 3?
I feel that we did good, and we just keep getting better and better. Like, we just keep working hard. We keep doing what we're doing. Just reps. We're just working.
How about those conditions? Did that enter your mind a little bit last Friday night with that strong wind? You either got the wind to your back or in your face.
Yeah, conditioning every single day of the week has definitely helped us through that overtime win. We were just full energy the entire time.
Yeah.
And we was excited though, to go into overtime. We were really excited.
Yeah.
We were prepared for that. Yeah.
Tell me about maybe a teammate, an area of the game we didn't just talk about now that you think has come along for classical football this year.
Cornerbacks, 100%. Cornerbacks are having a lot of lockdown plays. Last year was a little iffy, but coaches really stepped up helping with the cornerbacks.
Yeah, what he said. Corners are doing a damn job. They're just really doing lockdown. They're doing a good job.
Cameron Green saved us with the last play.
Yep.
Really stepped up big time.
Coach, 3-0 right now. So how is this happening?
Just the kids' hard work. They're buying into the system that we're bringing to the table, and all the credit goes to them because they're working so hard since day one. We've been here as a staff. They believe in what we're saying, and they're going 120 miles per hour.
Your opponent this week, Gloucester, obviously at home on Friday night. Their defense has been, probably as good as your defense has this year. Yeah.
Gloucester's Gloucester. They always have a good program. It seems like it's been like that for the last 20 years. So we expect to go up there for it to be a dogfight.
There's really nothing too tricky here. It's going to really be a little power football, it sounds like, right?
That's what they've been doing for a long time, and they're really effective at it. You watch them on film, they're just a typical Gloucester team that knows how to run the ball, and they get off the ball, and they're very physical on both sides of the ball. So again, I expect to be in the dogfight.
Coach Vaughn, we talked about how your defense has been pretty steady since game 1 through game 3. Offense might have struggled a little bit against a good Revere team last week. So tell me, but the weather conditions were a little iffy last week as well. So tell me about where do you think the offense is this week heading into Gloucester?
I think Revere did an outstanding job. Coach Ciccatelli, who I know really well, he had an excellent game plan. He's got a young team, and as you can see, that they executed their game plan really well. We were fortunate enough that our defense stepped up a little bit, and we were able to walk away with a win.
Any other notes from classical football this week heading up to Gloucester?
Just back. It's Tuesday. It's another work day, and we'll try and put ourselves in a position to be successful on Friday night.
All right, we're the Gloucester captains right now. On my left is Ollie Emerson. On my right is Matt Smith. And Ollie, tell us a little bit about what position you play now on offense and defense.
I play tight end on offense, and then I play outside linebacker on defense. Inside linebacker. Second year starting both sides of the ball. So.
Now, tight end on offense, you don't get to see a lot of passes.
Not in this offense. When we do, we try to make the most of it, but we're more of a running offense, and that's what we do best, so that's what we stick to.
Okay, both seniors. Matt, you're the quarterback. How often do you get the ball at Ollie?
Whenever he's open.
Okay, so what kind of a play do you guys need to get it to him? Is that a pop pass, or what do you do? Send him down the sideline? What do you guys use when you use your tight end is what I'm asking. When you use him in passes?
Usually a drag across the middle or a pop pass.
Okay, now listen, the Somerville game was incredible. The defense, what can you tell me, Ollie, about the defense, especially in the second half? Because they've got so many skilled players at the skilled positions, but you guys really played them tight. What did you do? Anything special?
Yeah, no, nothing special. We ran what we were working on all week in practice. They're a good team. They have a lot of athletes on the team, but we have our kids, and we knew what we were doing. So when we came out, we were prepared, and we just we played well.
Okay, 3-0, Matt. What does it mean to you? And I'll ask you in a minute, Ollie. What's it mean to you to be the captain now, a senior? Because you've been in this. I'm sure it was like yesterday when you were a freshman, looking up to all these other guys.
It's incredible, just to come out here and lead this team. Winning games is just one of the best experiences a person could have.
Okay, and what are you looking at for next year? Have you started looking at schools yet?
A little bit. Okay. I'm interested in playing college, but I don't really know what I'm going to do yet.
Well, I'm sure there's a position for it. Ollie, what's it mean for you to be captain of this team?
It's fun, you win. You play football to win games, and that's what we've been doing. So that's a big part of it, and it's been a lot of fun so far this year.
All right, one more question. When you guys were young, I don't know who brought you guys along, and there aren't that many younger kids along, but do you try to include them? I know it's hard because you work so hard to become seniors, to get all the playing time, but you still got to keep this thing going. Do you work with the younger kids?
Yeah, absolutely. They're a part of the team too. It's one big brotherhood, but one big family. So everyone gets in, everyone's involved, and it's a lot of fun.
All right, and I know, Matt, you're a big brother.
Yeah.
For real, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
It's great to play with Mark. He's probably my best receiver, probably the best hands on the team, and he's one of the best players, and great to be around.
All right, thank you, boys. Good luck.
Thank you.
Stronger, faster, tougher. When you need the MVP of community banks, look no further than the Institution for Savings. With 14 full-service offices throughout the North Shore, we have MVP rates and an all-star team to serve you. Bank from the ball field with our 24/7 online application apps, internet banking, mobile deposit, and more. Institution for Savings, your winning team. Visit institutionforsavings.com, member FDIC, DIF, equal housing lender.
People come in, take a seat. You're really in for a treat at Sylvan Street. A great place to eat and drink and meet with family and friends at Sylvan Street. We treat you right, day or night. Satisfy your appetite. Eat, drink, and chill at the Sylvan Street Grill.
Catch a game with friends, meet for lunch, cocktails after work, or a romantic dinner for two. Whatever your plan to do it at Sylvan Street Grill in Peabody and Salisbury. See you at Sylvan Street.
Eat, drink, and chill at the Sylvan Street Grill.
Hi folks, this is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber. Our company has been proud to have supported high school sports on the North Shore for more than 30 years. Our student athlete program recognizes championship performance in the classroom and on the field. Moynihan Lumber is also committed to championship performance when it comes to meeting all your building and home improvement needs. And if you're planning to change your kitchen, please visit our kitchen cabinet showrooms at any of our 3 locations: in Beverly, North Reading, or Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
With Gloucester football coach Tony Zerilli now in our pregame talk and really our football preview show. Coach, first of all, congratulations last week, big win. What does it do carrying over now into the Classical game? Both teams 3-0, and we'll talk a little bit about the league later, but huge game coming up this weekend.
Oh, it's a tremendous game coming up. Classical's a great football team, tough offensively and defensively. Again, another dual threat quarterback. Really makes his offensive go. So looking for a challenge. I think it's going to be a good game. Both teams 3-0. I know there's huge ramifications for playoff points and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, it's a rivalry game. Classical always plays us tough. We always play them tough. So I think it always comes down to the last possession usually. So looking for the same thing.
Coach, I go back to a game when you first became head coach.
No, don't do that.
No, but what I want to point out is the good stuff, because the kids, it was a terrible first half.
Yeah.
But since that second half on, for 6.5 years plus now, you've got it. I mean, the kids, they've got what you want them to do.
Yeah, that first 2 years, to be honest with you, as a head coach, even though you've coached before as an assistant coach, huge learning curve. Huge difference between being an assistant coach and being responsible for the defense to being responsible for everything from, daily activities to what they do in the building to, planning everything out. So, the first couple of years were tough, but, I think that, especially against Classical, you want to be consistent, you want to be disciplined, you want to play by, your rules on offense and defense. And keep attacking them, and I think that's what we do well, especially the last couple of years here. I think you get your kind of mentality or your kind of coaching style stamped on the team year 3, year 4, and then going on from there. So I think we've been doing a pretty good job here. I got great assistant coaches that help me out, and I think to be 3-0 this year, keep rolling after a pretty good year last year, and reloading. That's what we try to do every year.
What do you see that Coach Vaughn brings to Linton Classical? Because it's his first year as head coach, but boy, does he know football.
Oh, he knows football, and he's a football guy. Offensively, he's doing a lot of things differently than they've done in the past. I coached with Coach Walsh the last couple of years, and he coached with Coach Vaughn over at Pope John before I think they disbanded their program over there due to numbers. But one thing Coach Walsh always said, the guy knows football. He knows what he's doing. He's a good coach. He's got great assistant coaches with him, and I think it shows. To be 3-0 in the Northeast Conference as a rookie head coach in the conference, I think it shows.
One thing, last thing I'll mention about Linton Classical, Coach, is against Somerville, you got off to, I don't want to say a slow start, but
you can say it was a slow start.
It was a rugged first half, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Mistakes.
But you can't do that against Linton Classical, I wouldn't think.
No, and that's something, the last 2 weeks, to be quite honest with you, the first half has been sloppy. And it's something we need to correct moving forward, not only for Classical, but for the rest of the season into the playoffs. You can't make those mistakes. Can't fumble the football, can't throw interceptions, can't go off sides on 3rd and 8 and give them a free 5 yards, and then they pick up 4 yards on 3rd down, and all of a sudden it's 1st down rather than the 4th down. Can't do those things, and we need to be better at that, and we work on those things, and we work on discipline and staying on sides and not jumping the snap and not leaning on offense and a thousand different things we work on. But we got to cut down on those mistakes.
All right, well, good luck with Classical.
Thank you.
Now, you talk about some of those mistakes, Coach. I know you don't make excuses, but can some of that be attributed to the fact that these guys really are still learning the positions as varsity players?
No. I think some of the mistakes we make, yes. The mistakes that really drive coaches nuts are, jumping off sides on defense and false starts on offense. You can deal with the holdings. You can deal with, even some of the blocks in the backs. Anything that's an aggressive type of penalty, they're trying to do their job, they're trying to make a play. I don't, you watch them in film and you tell them how, what you can and can't do and what the rules are. It's the mental mistakes, the mental miscues that just drive a coach nuts. And that's jumping off sides, and that's, you get D tackles, the ball's, a foot from their face and they're jumping off sides. And you just got to make sure that, that they understand that that's not acceptable, that they can't do it. And, we play that style of defense where we're go, 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 and sometimes that comes back to bite us, but you just got to be better at that. You got to watch that ball, you got to know what the other team's trying to do, that they're trying to draw you off sides, and be a little bit more disciplined.
Looked to me like you have a team of character in that the end of the first half, 29 seconds left to go, and Somerville goes out in front 14-6. You run the ball back to the 35, next play you call a play that I don't know if I'd seen it all year, but but you rip off a 65-yarder, and that seemed to me to be a key point in the game.
Yeah, and you know, it was a huge play. Get the momentum swung back in our direction. You know, that and then the 2-point conversion to tie the game up was a big momentum swing. Then knowing we're getting the ball back in the second half. You know, those three things combined really changed the complexion of the game. And, you know, Penny Ortiz, who hasn't played this year, you know, just coming back in the third game, that was a big run by him. He had a big night. And, you know, we had Mark Smith out, so to have him come in and kind of play another role, it was great. And I think, you know, this week getting both those guys back on the field together is going to be huge for us.
2 players over 100 yards, plus quarterback Smith almost at 100.
Yeah.
You got to have the line involved there somehow. They must have been doing something good.
Oh, absolutely. And you know, coming off last year where, you know, everybody knew Christian Sanfilippo, who's a big part of Gloucester history now, broke a lot of records. And coming off that year where I felt like we started to become one-dimensional. Last year, I felt like going into this offseason, we started to put the game plan together with my offensive assistants, and we said, that's not going to happen this year. We're going to have 4 primary ball handlers. They're all going to carry the load equally, and I think we've kind of established that the first 3 games. If you take away the running back plays, we're going to hit you with a wing back, or we're going to hit you with a fullback, or, you know, Matt Smith at QB is going to keep the ball. And that's what we wanted to establish. We wanted to be multidimensional. We wanted to have 4 guys carrying the ball at any given moment, and that's where the wing T really flourishes. You can't key on one guy. It's not like the I where you can key on the running back. It's you got 4 backs all taking it in different directions on one given play, and one of them's got the ball and the other 3 don't.
Mm-hmm. Coach, our final thought for me, our player of the week this week is Matt Smith, and Coach Ingram
upstairs with us was mentioning his poise and his decision-making ability. I was impressed. He got 2 touchdowns, 20 points up, 14 points scored, I believe, but boy, he played a good game on defense, didn't he?
I was just going to say that. You know, I think defensively, he's more important to this team. Just the way his presence, you know, and you know, Somerville had a big play in the middle of the field. It was 4th down, and I think they needed 4 yards. And Matt came up from 10 yards from his safety position and stuck the kid in the hole, you know, chest to chest, and drove him back. And Somerville's running back always falls forward. He never falls back. He always falls forward. But when Matt hit him, you know, yards short of that 1st down and drove him back 2 yards. Like, that's the kind of play that Matt can make that I don't see being made by many high school kids in the secondary. He's solid, he's rugged, he's athletic, he's one of the fastest and strongest kids on this team. The kid is a football player through and through. He's not just a quarterback, he's a football player. So I'm glad you gave him player of the week, because he deserved it, for not just for this week, but for last week against Beverly as well. Kid makes big plays all over the field, and we watched film yesterday, and I pointed out some of the tackles he made, showed the other secondary guys, hey, look, this is how you got to tackle, this is how you got to make your presence known on the defensive side of the ball, and I thought he played, you know, incredible on Friday night.
Terrific. Final thought on the conference, Coach. Going into this weekend, 7 teams in the NEC. There hasn't been a lot of crossover in the NEC.
Undefeated.
7 teams, yep.
I know. Well, it just goes to show you, the Northeast Conference is filled with good football schools, right? Good coaches, good kids, know how to play football, tough football. And I know in the first couple of weeks there's been a lot of crossovers with other leagues. And it just goes to show you that, you know, Northeast Conference is a good football conference, and I don't think it always gets the credit it's due.
Stronger, faster, tougher. When you need the MVP of community banks, look no further than the Institution for Savings. With 14 full-service offices throughout the North Shore, we have MVP rates and an all-star team to serve you. Bank from the ball field with our 24/7 online application apps, internet banking, mobile deposit, and more. Institution for Savings, your winning team. Visit institutionforsavings.com, member FDIC, DIF, equal housing lender.
People come in, take a seat, you're really in for a treat at Sylvan Street. A great place to eat and drink and meet with family and friends at Sylvan Street. We'll treat you right, day or night, satisfy your appetite. Eat, drink and chill at the Sylvan Street Grill.
Catch a game with friends, meet for lunch, cocktails after work, or a romantic dinner for 2. Whatever your plan to do it at Sylvan Street Grill in Peabody and Salisbury. See you at Sylvan Street.
Eat, drink and chill at the Sylvan Street Grill.
Hi folks, this is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber. Our company has been proud to have supported high school sports on the North Shore for more than 30 years. Our student-athlete program recognizes championship performance in the classroom and on the field. Moynihan Lumber is also committed to championship performance when it comes to meeting all your building and home improvement needs. And if you're planning to change your kitchen, please visit our kitchen cabinet showrooms at any of our 3 locations: in Beverly, North Reading, or Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
The North Shore Football Show on MSONewsSports.com.
All right, Matt Smith is our player of the game from the player of the week from last week. A huge game against Somerville. Matt's a senior quarterback, and also cornerback or safety?
Safety.
Safety. We got to talk about that too, because that's all right. First of all, 2 touchdowns and a 2-point conversion, and they were huge. And Matt, the first touchdown, 4th down, you're in heading toward the canal. That was a pass play line design, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
So the receivers were covered, and I just found an opening on the left side and ran towards the end zone and got in.
When you look over the receivers, how many receivers do you get to look for? Because you had plenty of time,
Yeah.
but how many can you actually line up when you're doing that play?
On that play, it was 2 receivers, both going towards the sideline, and Somerville covered them very well, and my line was very good blocking for me, and I found the hole on the left side.
When you look to the left, you saw a big opening. That was huge.
Yeah,
Tell me a little bit about your line, Matt, because maybe start with your center, I guess, but they played very well.
Yeah, Shimataro has been doing great all year, and the 2 returning guards, Kevin Gabriel and Carlos, have been just really good getting outside and making their blocks.
Okay. You guys had, you had 70 yards on 7 carries or 6 carries, I think, and then you got 2 other guys who went over 100. The play by Pena Ortega at the end of the first half, when he came out of the end zone on the kickoff, got down to the 35, and then the next play, tell me about that next play when he scored.
It was just incredible. Ortiz got to the outside, we had lead blockers for him, and it was just a major momentum going into the half.
How many times have you had that double handoff this year?
Not many.
Okay, so that's one of the reasons it might have worked?
Yeah.
Okay,
most
plus
definitely.
he showed his speed. Now, another 4th down play when you scored the touchdown in the opposite end zone. How the hell did you get in? Because from up in the press box, it looks like you didn't get in. And that was, I mean, you were swarmed all over. People were all over you.
Yeah, people were all over me. I just kept moving my feet until I got into the end zone.
Excellent, excellent. And then 2-point conversion. What play was that? Because you sort of walked into the end zone on that one.
Yeah, it's the QB keeper to the left side off of ISO.
Okay. Now, finally, on defense, Coach was saying that you led the way on defense. Tell me how much you like to play defense and what's the best part of it?
It's incredible to play defense. I love to hit people. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Okay. All right. And finally, again, I asked you this a little earlier, but have you started looking at schools yet? Have you started visiting any schools?
Yeah, I visited a few schools here and there. I visited BC today. Probably not.
Oh, don't say probably not anything.
Hopefully for football.
There you go. There you go. All right, Matt, thank you and congratulations.